Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this episode of the Dan Dawson Show. So do you ever wonder why your liberal friends are confused? Like, remember the Kyle Rittenhouse thing? I still have friends who thought he killed Black people up until this weekend. And while they're not as well informed as you, it's because of liberal hacks like Ryan Grimm. Ryan Grimm is on the rising over at The Hill TV. Now, this is one of Biden's picks to be basically to regulate banks, right? So her bright idea is to shut down the civilian banks. It's not an option. Have your money controlled by the federal government. Her other big idea, I saw this when Rand Paul questioned her, is to get rid of small to medium-sized oil and gas companies for the Green New Deal, the Communist Manifesto. And what not a perfect person to help them push in secret the Communist Manifesto than an actual somebody who grew up as a communist. So let's see how Ryan twists this here.
People are paying even the tiniest bit of attention to the news. Young people visiting their parents are catching up with old high school friends. Parents, aunts, and uncles are doing last-minute prep for Thanksgiving. Half the country is traveling, stuck in traffic or at airports. So it is the perfect moment to drop a bit of news that you want ignored. The 5 Senate Democrats took full advantage of the nation.
Let me just say something. He names off these Democrats, right? He's calling them corporate Democrats. No, they're common sense Democrats that knew that every idea this woman had was a bad idea. Not only was that a bad idea, it's rooted in Nazism and communism. Remember, Hitler took over the banks. That's why I keep telling you, they want to take your Second Amendment rights. They want to be able to lock you down when they want. I keep telling you, this liberal party is nothing but the Nazi party in disguise. They don't even vary the name that much. Nazi Socialist Party, Democrat Socialist Party. See what I'm saying? All they're missing is the swastikas. Let's just be honest about it.
Just distraction last Wednesday night, with Axios reporting that they were going to oppose Saleh Amarova to be head of the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. Those Democrats are John Tester, Mark Warner, Kirsten Sinema, John Hickenlooper, and Mark Kelly.
And I give a hand to all those Democrats.
It's because she was the woman on the end of this viral exchange with Louisiana Republican Senator John Kennedy.
There was a group called the Young Communists, and you were a member. Is that right?
Now, see, when AOC and these people are saying they're communists and they're talking about, no, socialism just hasn't been done the right way. And no, it's been done 1,000 times over. It never works. They're actually cohorting with communists, right? Maybe that explains why China is getting so many breaks. They don't have to answer for Wuhan, the China virus, whatever it's called, COVID virus, right? They've now got all our lithium mines in Afghanistan. A few years ago, come to find out, Hunter Biden handed over our cobalt mines in South America. All that stuff is used to make electric cars, and I'll keep putting back, I'll keep going back. Joe Biden has put in this mandate to make our entire federal fleet electric. Meanwhile, we don't have the resources without China to make electric cars. Think about that.
I'm not exactly sure which group you're referring to.
Well,
Oh, she knows exactly. There's no doubt in my mind she knows.
formal name of it is the Leninist Communist Young Union of the Russian Federation. And it's also known as the Leninist Komsomol of the Russian Federation. And it's commonly referred to as the Young Communists. Were you a member?
Senator, I was born and grew up in the Soviet Union.
Yes, ma'am. But were you a member of that organization?
Everybody in that country was a member of the Komsomol, which was the Communist Youth Organization. Because
So you were a member?
That was a part of normal progress in school.
Have you resigned
From the
Young Communists?
You grow out of it with age. Automatically.
Did you send them a letter though resigning?
Senator, this was many years ago. As far as I remember, how the Soviet Union worked was at certain age you automatically stop being a member.
She knows damn well, she remembers how that worked, right? When you went to junior high and high school, you still remember how junior high and high school worked, right? You remember graduating, you remember all that stuff. You see, she's hiding it. She's still a communist. Watch as she's talking through what she wants to implement and when she's been questioned about what she wants to implement. Another senator, Tim Scott, did a really good job on this. And then to watch this Ryan Grimm guy try to twist it and make it seem like they're just corporate Democrats who are teaming up on her. No, that's why your liberal friends don't understand what's going on. They don't have the facts.
You look at your records and see if you can find a copy of your.
Senator Kennedy, I don't interrupt. I almost never interrupt these, but
Well, you always interrupt me, Mr.
no, actually I
And
don't.
I'm-
Not nearly as many times.
I want,
See, here's the lapdog liberal Democrat riding to her rescue because they want these liberal policies to be enacted. They have to have it. They have to have it now. I'm also going to tell you something else about the new COVID strain at the end of this video. Don't let me forget.
She renounced her Soviet citizenship.
well, I understand that.
Omarova, it might be worth noting, previously worked in the Treasury Department under President George W. Bush. So after that Kennedy exchange caught the public's attention, Republicans seemed to recognize they had a problem, given how absurd his chat.
George W. Bush, who is now an ally with the socialists and the communists. Never thought it would happen to a Texan. Really sad. Well, we have Texans here who are allied with him. So how else do you explain stupid ass Beto O'Rourke, which isn't his real name, Francis?
Challenge was on its face. Republican Tom Tillis tried to clean it up a bit.
I want to make a few things crystal clear. Republican concerns with this nominee are directly tied solely to your extensive written record, period.
So the written record he's talking about there, because I actually watched this and actually watched the whole thing, and it was like 3-4 hours, and I'm not going to do a 3-4 hour video. One, I don't think very many people would finish it. Hell, I wouldn't finish it myself. But I actually watched these exchanges because I just happened to be passing by and it was on. It was very interesting to me. So I checked it out, right? And the writings he's talking about, they're all part of the Communist Manifesto. All of it. And if you look, they're putting everything in place to not only bring communism to the United States, but make sure it takes hold and it stays rooted. Like we keep talking about a red wave coming up in 2022. Don't be so sure about that. And I'm going to tell you exactly why in a minute.
Full stop. With the exception of some of the comments that my friend and colleague, Senator Kennedy made, I think that we've tried to focus on what we believe are legitimate policy differences and maybe academic differences.
Tim Scott did the same, going on to outline why Republicans object not to what Omarova did as a communist Girl Scout, but what she...
A communist Girl Scout. See how he tries to lighten it up? No, these are trained communist Marxists. They're not Girl Scouts. They're not Girl Scouts. How many times have they caught Chinese students taking secrets back to China because it's all part of the way the communists do things? They've been caught a dozen times. Nothing happens. Really ridiculous.
He believes now.
On the Green New Deal champion, you propose taking economic and climate policy making from Congress and creating an unaccountable bureaucracy called the National Investment Authority. In a roundtable this year, you push to make the NIA the dedicated institutional platform at the federal level for really being the kind of fighting muscle of the Green New Deal and fighting muscle of, all of these other movements that pursuing environmental justice, social, economic justice, equality, and so on.
See, that's the thing. She's not only introducing the banking idea, she wants to destroy the oil and gas companies. She's going to put thousands of dollars out of work, or thousands of people out of work, cost us millions and billions of dollars, and make us energy independent on China. Because this new Green Deal they're pushing, I'm going to tell you right now, Texas, when they send your light bill, when they send your city bill, it says how much of your energy comes from green. First time I've ever seen that. I think for us last month, it was almost 20%. So take that into account of what she's trying to do or what she wants to do. This will let you know their true intentions. I'll do that. I'll do that at the end of this, right?
Omarova has
Getting carried away.
indeed suggested using the power of the financial sector in pursuit of public policy.
In 2019, in the documentary, titled, I'll be kind, buttholes, a theory. You said the financial services industry, in my view, and I don't think I'm alone here, is the quintessential butthole industry.
One of her ideas she called a people's ledger.
Okay, so watch the words they're using. Like the People's Republic of China. This is all communist. If you want to stay in a state that's ruled by communism, this is why I say the breakup is coming. It's coming. I don't see any turning back because these communists aren't going to stop their ways unless they're voted out of office. And they have a trick for that. I can already tell you what's going to happen.
And it's actually a pretty interesting and radical idea.
Last year, i.e. 2020, not 10 years ago, not 20 years ago, just last year. Paper you titled the Congress and creating an unaccountable bureaucracy called the National Investment Authority.
Sorry about that, guys.
In 2019, in the documentary titled, I'll be kind, buttholes.
Let me catch back up.
Idea.
Last year, i.e.
Sorry about that, people.
2020, not 10 years ago, not 20 years ago, just last year. Paper you titled The People's Ledger, How to Democratize Money and Finance the Economy. You proposed reforms to, and I quote, effectively end banking as we know it by nationalizing, the quote you had was effectively ending banking as we know it. How? By nationalizing retail banking. Imagine what it would be like if instead of just a public option for deposit banking, instead of just a public option for deposit banking, this would be actually the full transition. In other words,
now notice what's said here. So later on in this video, the video is kind of long. I'm going to start to wrap it up. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show it to you. This might run a little long. He pretends it's a public option. You have the option. No, she's saying completely transition away from public-private banks. That means credit unions. If you like your credit union, you might want to say something. Could you imagine the federal government not only holding your money, so when they want to take it, they can take it. And keep in mind, we're trillions of dollars in debt and going in more. But see, this is the only way communists can fund their crazy plans. You understand what's happening here?
there would be no more private bank deposit accounts, and all of the deposit accounts would be held directly at the Fed.
Now, I like the way Ryan Graham was trying to say, this is an interesting and radical idea. No, it's not. They do it in Russia. They do it in China. They did it in Venezuela. They do it in all communist countries. This is not new. It's not radical. It only hurts the people. If you're stupid enough, if they do that, I say, take out all your money, keep it in a safe.
And here's Pat Toomey freaking out about it. In your words, and I quote,
which is absolutely correct to freak out about.
This article outlines a series of structural reforms that would radically redefine the role of a central bank as the ultimate public platform for generating, modulating, and allocating financial resources in a democratic economy, the people's ledger, end quote. You also said this article accordingly advocates full migration of demand deposits onto the Fed's balance sheet. Now, generally, Omarova's response has been that she was just spitballing interesting ideas.
I just want to clarify, my job as an academic was to expand the boundaries of the academic debate and outline potential options for Congress to consider. This is.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll let you get the gist of that. It's running a little long. But later on, he keeps saying option. No, it's not an option. No, you would have no choice but to invest your money with the federal government. So they decide if you can buy a house. They decide if you can get a car loan. Well, what happens when they also kick in, like they have in China right now, the social credit score? Let's say you were mean to your neighbor. You have $20,000 in the bank. Well, the government decides to find you because you were mean to your neighbor. Let's say 5,000. There's nothing you can do to stop them. This is what communism means, people. And they're enacting this crap in blue states. Now look at the march they've been on. They want to make all the banks federally controlled, or actually get rid of the banks. They want to get rid of oil and gas companies. She says that. You can watch the one where, go YouTube, Rand Paul questioning her. Want to do so many communist little things. They're getting rid of your police. They're coming after your Second Amendment. Nancy Pelosi earlier this year encouraged Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter to silence conservative voices. She made a whole speech about it. Think about that. They're coming after your First Amendment, your Second Amendment. They're coming after everything. It's time to shut these people down, vote them out of office, send them back to the depths of purgatory where they come from. Not only that, but we need to stop paying congressmen and senators lifetime payments. That shit needs to stop. Boils my blood. Always talking about you're running out of Social Security, but you never hear, oh, we're running out of money for pensions for Congress. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Think about this. Nancy Pelosi, as corrupt as she is, Joe Biden, as corrupt as he is, have made millions and millions and tens of millions of dollars off the United States and China. Don't forget, when the whole COVID thing came out, Nancy Pelosi caught a plane to San Francisco to go to Chinatown, say, come on down and shop. There's nothing wrong. This thing is no threat. Come on down. We're open for business. She didn't do that in black or white neighborhoods. Think about that. Eric Swalwell got caught sleeping with a Chinese spy. How many signs do we need to see these people are in bed with China? But I just wanted to bring that to your attention. This is what's going on during these hearings. That's why these hearings are so important. Keep your eye on them. But like, subscribe, share, and as always, oh, hold on, I was going to tell you something. So the red wave of 2022, right, might not happen. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to take off my cowboy hat, put on my Nostradamus hat. You're going to see a panic in the news about the new COVID variant, even though the guy who found it, the scientist, said it's a lot more mild. It's not deadly. He actually said it's a lot less severe, his quote. And I'm going to do a video on that. I just want to see more about what's going on with it. But in a few months, lockdowns, you know why? Because elections are coming up. What happens when elections come up and there's a lockdown? You vote by mail-in ballot. So they can go back to ballot harvesting. Look, there was a nursing home in New York that was filling out the ballots for their senior citizens there. And one mother caught it because she was looking at one daughter, she was looking at who voted in the election, and she saw her mother's name. Her mother had died before the election. So they purposely filled out her ballot, probably for Democrats, it is New York, forged her signature and mailed it in. Hell, I showed you. Washington State sent me a mail-in ballot. I live in Texas now. And I would forgive them, but they got the address right on the thing. They knew I was in Texas. Ridiculous. So keep your eye on that, people. That's what's going to happen, I'm telling you. Like, subscribe, share, and as always, especially in these days and times, do what you got to do.